What is it?
Well, it's called randomizer, and it's fitted to the guidance systems and operates under a very complex scientific principle called potluck. Now, no one knows where we're going. Not even the Black Guardian.
Not even us.
Hello, faithful listener, and welcome to episode 19 of the Randomizer podcast. I am Charles, and we're all naked, aren't we?
I just want to assure you that we're really not. I'm Tim. Hello. So, we have a spoiler warning. We're going to discuss the Omega Factor a bit later on, which we've rewatched, and wasn't it fun?
Red pants and all.
Oh gosh. Biggest news, red pants aside, is the second coming. We're so excited about this. We thought it was gone forever. We'd never see it again. But to our absolute delight, it has returned. 3-litre Pepsi Max bottles are back in Iceland.
I know.
So happy about that.
I've got 30 of them in the kitchen.
Yeah, so they were only back for about a minute before you bought out everyone again.
Absolutely.
Anyway, obviously that was dearest to our hearts on this particular podcast. But there's been other news, of course. We've got season 17 released on Blu-ray, which is exciting.
Hooray!
Just before Christmas it comes out, isn't
it? Yes, 13th of December.
Exciting.
With a combination of animated and live-action Shadow, which should be interesting.
So it's like yet another version of Shadow.
Yeah.
So actually, that's the season I'm coming up to quite fast in my rewatch. So we could actually do the Blu-ray version.
I think we should actually do the Blu-ray sort of.
Yeah, well, I've
properly.
watched Androids of Terror now, so I've only got Power Crawl and Armageddon Factor before I hit season 17.
And apparently, young men out there are dying for it.
By which you mean the season 17 Blu-ray box set.
Absolutely.
So also, Evil of the Daleks was released after its BFI screening. The animated version was released as a steelbook and a regular Blu-ray.
And I have a copy because Kenny's son, Steve, just randomly, pardon the pun, out of the blue, I got an Amazon package and it was like, sort of Evil of the Daleks from Steve, just as
that's very sweet.
A sort of general thank you.
You did check it didn't have his name on the label. Oh, okay. So also we have a date for the new series at last, and it's Halloween, 31st of October.
Yes.
So we will be turning off all the lights and barricading the doorways so that we don't get interrupted by trick-or-treaters. We know quite a bit more about it now from trailers. There was this very strange decision they made where they cancelled or turned off all their social media as if it had been like disabled or hacked or something. And then when it came back, it was all branded with Flux.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's a weird move to make, but quite effective. And then they've had some really interesting marketing techniques.
Yeah, I mean, look, don't get me wrong, right? I think it's very clever what they've done. But the only thing I would say, and it's my only real criticism of the marketing, is that no one would really care too much about that other than fans. Mm-hmm. So it's not really going to pique the interest of the public as such. That aside, it's a well done marketing. The trailer's excellent.
Yeah, proper trailer.
I have no complaints about the trailer. It's cinematic. Mm-hmm. It looks great. That scene from the Crimean War is amazing because I've never seen a battlefield like that in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I mean, that is proper good stuff. I am very much looking forward to it. Tinged with, oh shit, I've got my hopes up.
You don't want your little heart broken.
Yeah, I really don't want my heart broken again. But we are going to go into this, not the season itself, but the whole Chibnall thing with an actual proper discussion of it, not the usual just, isn't he crap?
Yeah, so. It feels like a lot has been put at Chris Chibnall's kind of shoulders. I mean, we've talked in the past about Jodie's the public face of the show, and it's far too easy to blame her. But for fans, maybe Chris Chibnall is the fan face of the show.
He's the whipping boy.
Yeah.
He really is, and I'm guilty of it. I do it in jest most of the time. I am annoyed about a lot of it. The guy is a talented writer. Broadchurch aside, which is obviously his big crowning achievement. Most of his Doctor Who has actually been quite good. I like 42. I thought it was unusual, but I wouldn't say it's the best, but it's still a lot of fun, and I love Power of Three. The only thing I don't like about it is the end. It's far too rushed. But I don't understand how someone who is generally, I would say, a reasonably talented writer, I wouldn't say he's up there with RTD or Stephen Moffat. He's done The Great Train Robbery, he's done Law and Order UK, he was showrunner on Torchwood, wrote a couple of crap episodes, wrote some fucking cracking episodes as well. So I'd say in general, he's, he is a talented guy. He's not up there with RTD or Stephen Moffat, personally. But, I don't think in any way he's a complete hack.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Doctor Who as showrunner, if I say he's dropped the ball, I'm being charitable. I think the writing on it has been pretty poor. The guest writers they've got have been pretty abysmal, mostly. And I don't understand how, because you can't go from, what he's been writing before to Doctor Who and it just suddenly sinks. Now, I personally think he's had stuff forced on him. He'll be writing things, but he's getting asked or he's getting told to put certain things within it.
So, by who and what things?
Well, personally, I think this is a thing where creatives get fucked over by executives. So you create something, you write a script, and someone who has no real clue about the writing process or whatever, but they're an executive, your management level, comes in and says, oh, no, I think it needs this, or it needs that, or we've done a test screening and it needs this, or, and they kind of force ideas onto the creative, right?
And you think that's been happening?
And I think a lot of that has been happening. I'm not saying, none of it is his fault. I think maybe he's had some issues that he wants to raise, and maybe, going back to things like Orphan 55, it wasn't the message, it was the delivery.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? I mean, the message itself is fine, but RTD would have made that entertaining and relevant.
Yeah. We've had a 2-minute sermon.
We wouldn't have had to have all that bollocks. I just don't see how he's managed to drop the ball so badly, because if he has, it's like he's got the ultimate ghost of his past, that whole thing where he criticised, fucking Pitt and Jane. It's either that or Pitt and Jane are in hell somewhere and they've created a voodoo doll of Chris Chibnall and they're having their revenge.
It's the karma at work.
Yeah.
I've been rereading The Writer's Tale for no particular reason. Which, if you don't know about it, dear listener, is the wonderful book written between Russell T Davies and Benjamin Cook of DWM, written around the sort of last couple of years of Russell's time on the show, and it's a really great, sort of very honest, as far as you can tell, sort of look inside the process that Russell goes through in the writing of it, and it's also full of wonderful kind of sort of gems about sort of what he thinks about writing, and it's not a manual by any means, but it's just a series of emails and a correspondence, and it's lovely. It's so you get to see the shape of new stories. You get to see the beginnings of Midnight as a story in his mind and so on.
Yeah.
But the thing that made me think about it was he talks about not liking it when the kind of message or the idea leads the story rather than the characters, and I think maybe that's been some of the kind of really important issue-led stories under the Chibnall era, I think have perhaps been suffering from that. Yeah,
I tend to agree with that. I think a lot of the time he's possibly got obsessed with the message to, the detriment of the story or character, and he's sort of, what you say, he's not thought enough about it, or thinking that the message is important and that will carry everything else.
Well, we just don't know, and we're speculating. But that's I said to you earlier that what I would love is to read his version of the writer's tale, Chris Judoon's version, just to get inside the process. And
I mean,
then I realised I want Moffat's version.
Yeah,
first.
of course. You really do. But no, Moffat's aside, I definitely want to read that, because see if it's all him, which, I mean, it really can't be. But see if it's all him, then it's like, how?
You would hope to have a team who would balance each other out. And the other thing the writer's tale makes very clear is just the strength of the bond and the working relationship between Russell T Davies, Julie Gardner, Jane Tranter, and Phil Collinson. Yeah, that whole team. Just Russell very frequently describes the joy he has in their work and the stuff they deal with as well. Like, when they were trying to do the Torchwood across all 5 days, and he was like, yes, that was set in stone, but as I suspected, they were trying to change it. So and Julie's like going in there fighting, winning those battles, and you just think if there's a weak link in that whole kind of setup and that whole team,
it falls. I mean, Julie Gardner's a great example, because she is the backbone of that entire team. I mean, she's the fighter. She'll go in and she will bloody make sure that everything's on point. Yeah, there's a great little anecdote in the writer's tale about Phil Collinson phoning them both up at 2 a.m. in tears, because he's trying to get it to work, and Julie just talking him down and everything. He said, it was just amazing how calming an influence she is, and how she can sort of just smooth out the road ahead.
I think my first time I read the book, The Writer's Tale, I was like, I really want to meet Russell T Davies. Yeah. And this is the second or third time, and now I'm coming out going, I really want to meet Julie Gardner. She just sounds an amazing person. Well, let's talk a little more about the trailer and then move on. Because there's lots of glimpses of interesting things. So spoilers for the Doctor Who trailer if you're trying to steer clear of that for whatever reason, and I respect that. But the Sontarans, and we know it's Swarm. So Sontarans, Weeping Angels, that's WA. Ravagers, a new race, and maybe they're the kind of spiky-faced blue people. We don't know. And then the M is as yet unfilled, so there's speculation it's the Master. I was trying to persuade you it was the mutants. But we've also seen Ood.
Yes. Yay! Love an Ood.
That's Ood. And there was a sort of strange, sort of vaguely dog-like creature. I was like, is that the Garm
Chewbacca.
from Terminus? Chewbacca, yes. No,
he's even got a bit of bloody, of a sash thing on. I mean, that'll be this year's Racknot.
Or it'll be like the Candyman all over again with George Lucas going, hang on a minute. But the no, I my headcanon absolutely now is that is the Garm from Terminus, and this is going to come back.
Yeah, and we get Sidemen.
Yes.
Without capes?
Yes, that's un-time-loaded Cybermen. They're probably just in the cloakroom.
Yeah.
So I like the look of the Sontarans.
Oh, the Sontarans look great, and it's something I'd spoken to Connor about at length, and I think I'd mentioned it on the podcast a few times about how much I love Strax, but how they kind of buggered the Sontarans up. Because
they're now comedy characters.
The comedy.
We said this last time.
Yeah, because we were saying about, I mean, everybody's saying, well, it's just Strax, but it wasn't, because they done it, But so I'm really glad, as much as I love them, I'm really glad that they're going to make them. Well, they appear to be.
They look more sort of weather-beaten and rusty and lived in.
And on a horse, that looked amazing. Yeah. He did look rather amazing.
I mean, for all we know, they could come on screen and go straight into a musical number.
Yeah, they might do a Benny Hill thing or something. Who knows? If you notice, the costume as well is very like it was back in Time Warrior and Sontaran Experiment.
Yeah.
So it's really going back. Connor was making an interesting point about how Chibnall, one thing he really does manage to do is his redesigns of some of the monsters, have been really spot on. Like the Cybermen pre the mastification or whatever. The invasion design, but slightly upgraded, if you pardon the pun. And of course the Sontarans. And there was something else the Daleks. I really like the design of the Daleks, actually. It's the first time I've actually liked any messing about with the Daleks since they came back.
Yeah.
So I think, kudos to him on that, at least.
So lots to look forward to. It's a 6-part series, so it starts on Halloween.
So yeah, just have to say, this is his trial of a Time Lord.
I
Can't wait for Terror of the Vervoids.
As long as they don't have to wheel in the ghosts of Pip and Jane Baker to write the finale.
Oh my god.
I'm really looking forward to it. And we are going to do our utmost to broadcast a show after each episode so you can hear our inane witterings fresh after each episode.
Hell.
A man is the sum of his memories, a Time Lord even more so.
It is time for Your Cheating Memory, which is the part of the show where we have randomly selected an old episode and rewatched it to see what we think about it now. So, last time we selected Twice Upon a Time, ironically having just watched Time of the Doctor.
Yeah, 2 Christmas specials
and
and regenerations in a row.
So, and this was an interesting journey for me, I think, in terms of my biggest criticism of Twice Upon a Time from broadcast was that the depiction of the First Doctor was very much, I felt, compromised to set the seeds for a female Doctor, the incoming Jodie Whittaker. And that didn't really change for me, I must say. I think I've softened a little on many other aspects of it, like the First World War stuff I found quite moving this time. But I still very much felt that this was an unnecessary use of the Doctor in I think quite a lazy way to sort of make a point that could have been made perfectly well through Mark Gatiss' character. You've got a figure of the era there, and there's one uncomfortable moment where him and the Doctor are kind of chuckling about something sexist that one of them's just said, and it's I think it's just cheap laughs.
I don't 100% agree, but in principle I do agree with you, because I hadn't really thought about previously about how they could have probably just used Mark Gatiss' character, and it would have probably made a lot more sense. I wouldn't say that the First Doctor is that modern in terms of his attitudes. I don't think there's any overt things on screen during his era, but I think possibly he would have probably been capable of that. But I take
in many ways we just dodged a bullet that none of that stuff was in there.
I take the principle of it, and I think you do make a good point. I do think, but it didn't take anything away from my enjoyment of it, because I think David Bradley done a great job. Peter Capaldi was on fire. As I've always said, I just think this story, as much as I love it, I wish it didn't exist, because Moffat's regeneration, Capaldi's regeneration story was the Doctor Falls.
Yeah.
And this to me was, he was doing this out of charity because he wanted to keep the Christmas slot open.
Yeah.
And I just feel bad for Moffat, and I feel bad for Capaldi in that sense.
Since you explained that behind the scenes reason, it makes a lot more sense to me, because again at the time I also felt like the Doctor Falls ended, that's the regeneration moment.
Beautiful moment.
And yet, like with David Tennant, you get not even a 20-minute world tour.
Yeah, exactly.
You get a whole other story, but understanding the behind the scenes reasons,
of course,
makes sense of
but
that.
having said that, the story itself, I actually think works quite nicely.
Yeah.
It's great. You get to see Rusty again. Really good little moments on that planet. The idea of testimony is a very neat and nice and clever idea. I love Capaldi's reaction when he says, "I don't know what to do," when it's not an evil plan.
Yeah.
It's
well, also it's
wonderful.
very Moffat-y thing. It's like kind of one of the traits of his era was right back to even before his era with Nobody Dies and Dr. Dances.
Absolutely.
And I think what I did sort of turn around on was the First World War stuff, because at the time I think I was just a bit churlishly, that football thing again.
Yeah.
But it's beautifully shot.
But like I said, it'd never been done in Doctor Who, and for a time travel show and a Christmas story, I mean, really, it's like I know we're both atheists, but it's like the one time on Earth when it seemed like, you know, a miracle. You know, in the sense of it seems impossible, and only in the sense of it seems impossible that something like that would happen.
Well, it's just something wonderfully human. And
yeah, of course.
For me, it's immediately soured by just the sort of knowledge that they're going to be back to killing each other in 24 hours.
I know. It's so sad. It's a very sad thing.
Better that there was at least that moment.
But there was a human moment, and I don't think it's ever happened again. Anything of that magnitude, really.
Yeah.
You know. And it is the stuff of legend now, really. You know what I mean?
I wonder about that as well in the telling, just with a slightly sort of sceptical air about what the kind
That's it. Go on, Tim. Ruin it.
Oh, well, no, just that I've never looked into how well evidenced the story is, and I would, just taking it on face value that this actually did happen and was the way people said it was, at least to a large degree. Because stuff does get amplified, especially stuff that special. So there were a couple of lines in Twice Upon a Time where I just sort of jumped up and went, that's Stephen Moffat talking, it's not even the Doctor anymore.
Yes.
So one of them was a bit more kind of pure and enjoyable than the other. One of us was being cynical. So the first line was, Bill says, letting go of the Doctor is so hard, isn't it?
Such a beautiful line.
And, it's so good to see Bill again.
I know. She
love
was
Bill.
wonderful.
Yeah.
She
And
really
the other
was.
line, the more cynical reading, was the Doctor at some point, he's bustling around the TARDIS trying not to regenerate or accepting that he's going to, and he says, yes, I know, they'll get it all wrong without me. So I was like hearing a bit of the author there as well.
I know, I couldn't help but laugh at that one.
Yeah. It's like,
Cut to Moffat 2 years later going,
I'm a prophet. Should have written the lottery numbers. Not at all. It's, as we've discussed at length, there's good and bad and all of that jazz.
Absolutely.
But no, it was enjoyable, very much enjoyable watching it again in your company. Any last positive words about Twice Upon a Time?
God, I've got loads of positive things.
Right, pick 7.
The 10th planet bits.
Yes.
Brilliant.
That was one thing we did want to talk
Very
about.
exciting.
We've heard that they shot a lot more of that than was actually
Yeah,
on the
because
screen.
you see it in the making of that. I was like, oh,
Carry on, do the whole thing.
do the whole bloody thing.
Yeah. Let's just keep going, accidentally overrun. And
Yeah, get Rachel Trelawney to direct it
oh my.
at the same time.
I'd rather have Rachel Talali.
Ah, God. Oh, well. At least I got her name wrong.
Yay. That's that checkbox tick.
Yep.
Look, when I give the word, press the button.
The big one?
Yes, maybe it works in conjunction with the others.
Let's move on and choose a new story. So,
What could it
any hopes? We think we got Matt Smith. I have the randomizer website fired up. We use the randomizer.net.
Hey, come on,
which
the
is
Space Pirate.
a lovely website which randomly generates a story. Here we go.
All right, well, let's try and find out. Now, what could it be?
Ooh.
Is it spooky?
Okay, I'm gonna tease this one out for you.
Alright.
Classic.
Oh.
Second Doctor. It's
Oh.
the Highlanders.
Oh, fuck off.
Not complete, sadly, but
Oh, no.
we've
Come
got some
on.
Patrick Troughton.
Oh, come on, no. No, there's no bloody episodes.
I know.
I'm not watching 6 fucking episodes of...
Put your toys back in the pram.
What is it?
We'll watch it together. We'll have a chat as we go. It'll be fine. You survived the Space Pirates.
Only just.
I know. Well,
I've only just got out of bloody counselling.
I know. And you got that life insurance policy, and I'm trying to finish you off.
God, why?
Come on, be happy. We'll get to hear.
Of all
Patrick
the
Troughton.
blood, I mean, Pat Troughton's nearly complete, and we still managed to get the fucking
I know,
episodes
but
that are...
this is going to trigger our own personal laws of irony, which means that either this will be rediscovered the week after we watch it, or they're going to announce the animation of it.
Well, they never announced the bloody Space Pirates.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
I
So,
don't believe... Couldn't you
it
press
had
it
to
again?
happen one day. No.
God, it's going to be the fucking down.
If we do it again, we get Dalek Master Plan, and then you'll be sorry. Yeah. Come on, classic Who.
I don't have a sonic screwdriver because I'm not off on a romp. I call it what it is.
A great loss of pomp and circumstance.
It is time for Romp or Pomp. So while we have the randomizer fired up, we're going to click through a few stories and just have a hot take on whether they're a fun-packed knockabout romp or something a bit
tell
more
you, the
serious.
Highlanders not going to be a romp or a pomp. It's going to be a bloody
It's going to be a
drag.
grump. Oh, stop it. Right, here we go. Romp or Pomp. Curse of the Black Spot.
Oh, Romp.
R-O-M-P, definitely.
R.
R.
Oh.
M-P. Yeah, very good. The Mind Robber.
Oh.
The Mind Romper.
It's a romper.
Yeah.
It's a romper stomper.
Isn't that like quite violent, that film?
It is actually,
Yeah.
it's all about neo-Nazis.
So Mind Robber, yeah, but it's got that definitely very creepy element.
There's a
First
great
episode.
bit in the documentary or the making of where David Maloney is saying, so there we were in Islington at 3 a.m. trying to find a unicorn.
It's a good quote.
And I just thought that's why they call him Stony Maloney.
And of course Hamish Wilson. Lovely
Yay!
Hamish Wilson. Alright, couple more. Father's Day. Quite serious, isn't it? Sad.
Yeah.
Sad story. Quite
It's
complex.
quite, I mean, it's a very well-made story.
Yeah, my least favourite Eccleston, actually. But
Is it?
Well, one of them had to be, it's that whole thing again. There's
I
only
think
13.
that one's quite powerful because it's not something that gets... It's not something that had really been explored in Doctor Who.
No,
really.
for sure. Which is why I hated it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Because it was change, and change is
And
bad.
change is bad, and you've got no emotions.
As I
You're
always say at the
soulless.
shops when they...
Yeah, you're just a soulless husk.
I am, yeah. Okay, Full Circle.
Dull.
Is it fun? I think it's quite serious in tone, isn't it?
It's serious in tone.
Yeah.
It's as if they sucked all the fun out of it. I'm sorry, Andrew Smith. I know you're a fan, but I really didn't enjoy it.
Okay, there we go. Last one then. The Abominable Snowmen. Got a lot of classic this time.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't know because most of it doesn't exist.
Oh,
and it'll
hold that
be the
thought.
next one we fucking get.
So, no, I think it starts off very rompy with them running around the mountains, doesn't
Yeah,
it? And then,
actually, from what I've seen of it, it looks good. And they are animating it.
there we go. Creepy
Um,
monk voice and all of that
yeah.
stuff. Yeah, alright. That was Romp or Pomp. Be
So
afraid.
if you could just hold off on that bloody randomizer.
I accept your challenge.
We will crush you.
So, it is challenge time. Now, I have asked Chaz to watch The Mutants as a challenge because he's never managed to sit through it. And it's never quite come about for various reasons, sort of from trivial ones like the dog eating the DVD to even more trivial ones like the entire loss of your house and everything in it in a fire. And don't give me that look, I'm just being flippant, trying to, smooth over it. So, Chaz, have you managed to watch The Mutants?
Well, as you know, the insurance came through, so I've been tidying up and sort of just getting the house back to order.
Love the new place, by the way.
Yeah, I think
Looks very like the old place.
that is. Yeah. So I was going to sit and watch it, and I had a knock at the door. Little kid standing there going, "Excuse me, Guvnor," and I went, "Yeah." He goes, I'm a chimney sweep, I am. Cool, blimey. Do you need the chimney swept, Guvnor? And I said, well, funny enough, because, after the fire, I'm sort of full of soot and everything, so...
It would be.
He said, just run up your chimney, toot sweet. Cool, blimey. But I basically put him up the chimney, and he was there, and he cleaned it all. And he came out, sort of coughing and whatever, and I gave him something to eat because he was basically thin as a rake.
Like
And
an urchin.
he said, what's that you got there on your wall, Guvnor? And I said, it's TV. And he went, TV? What would that be? And I said, you haven't got a TV? No, I've never seen anything, I haven't. Cool, blimey. So I said, well, basically it means you can watch television programmes, moving pictures. He goes, like the cinematograph? And I went, yeah. And he went, cool, that sounds amazing. So I had an old TV because I felt sorry for the young lad, and I had an old TV and DVD player, and I said, do you know what, son? You can have them. And he goes, cool, you ain't half a toff. Thank you, young man. You're an absolute pleasure, and you've been a real tawny, and you've cheered me up. And he goes, it's just one thing. I haven't got anything to watch.
Oh, I see where this is
And I
going.
went, right. Well, I tell you what, young man, because I haven't got many DVDs, but the only one I've got, because I haven't had them all replaced yet, So I gave him the mutants because it seemed like the nicest thing to do. He was a poor young guy who'd been living on the streets, and he went
Since
through. He went
1814.
back to Duckett's Passage and walked through, and I don't
what did
think
Duckett
I'll
say?
ever see him again.
Well, it's such a touching story. It really brings a lump to my ear. And I think, obviously, understandable, completely understandable. So next week.
Yeah, sure.
And Chaz, you might be interested to know, is appearing in Panto this year.
All these corridors look the same to me.
It's time for Which Corridor Is This?, which is inspired by the book Running Through Corridors by Toby Haydock and Rob Sherman, in which they rewatch all of classic Doctor Who episode by episode and say nice things about it. So I've been watching...
Unlike us.
Oh, we try to say things. I've been watching the Key to Time season. And, so Androids of Tara, you were very excited about the infamous Taran Woodbeast.
Yay! The Taran Woodbeast cometh.
Oh, I mean, it's quite a bad mask.
Yeah.
In a kind of fluffy kind of gorilla suits, and it just sort of leaps out the bushes with its arms in the air.
Cometh the story, cometh the crap costume.
Cometh the Woodbeast. Yeah, and then it runs away and is never seen again.
Yeah, basically.
But gosh, its legend lives on
really
well
is.
beyond its screen time, doesn't it?
Do you know what it is? The Taran Woodbeast is the creature from Caves of Androzani, the rat from Talons, and the Murka.
You mean in terms of legendary bad monsters?
Well, think of those stories, right? Taran Woodbeast is really the only creature thing in that story. True. It wasn't necessary. The Murka is only the only creature type thing. I know we've got, but it's not necessary. Mm-hmm. The rat is the only monster in that story.
Yeah.
And that thing, I don't even know what it was called, in Androzani, is the only...
Oh, yes, the Magma Beast.
Yeah, that's it. Because it's like GNT wanted a monster in that thing, and no doubt it was always perceived that Doctor Who had to have a monster in it.
Okay, so, of those four, let's do a top 4 superfluous Doctor Who monsters. What do you reckon? Is the Woodbeast the champion, or it's got to be the Murka, hasn't it?
It's got to be.
Yeah, I mean, we've already done that pun, but as you know.
Make a Murka great. Oh no, was it?
Make a Woodbeast.
What was his next slogan was going to be, keep a Murka great.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, the Magma Beast is at least sort of dark and gloomy, I think.
And it's there literally for the last,
sort of 20 seconds or whatever.
Yeah, of the cliffhanger, and then it's destroyed.
But the Taran Woodbeast is literally, it jumps out in broad daylight.
It's a very Halloween thing, isn't it?
Let's talk a little bit more about the rest of the Androids of Tara. Obviously based on Prisoner of Zenda, classic novel, I think. And that had been quite a big TV show, hadn't it?
Yeah, you steal from classics.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Doctor Who's always done anyway, and it's done it very successfully. And I think that particular story, that's a great little story.
It takes this sort of bit of classic literature, which is all sort of castles and evil plans and machinations about gaining the throne, and sticks robots into it.
Yeah, exactly. A bit like Robots of Sherwood.
Yes, but it's the beautifully kind of chewy villain in Count Grendel.
Oh yeah. It's basically the Princess Bride, isn't it?
Oh gosh, yeah, that'd be fun.
You've got some guy, you killed my father, time to die.
I see the Doctor should at some point in a sword fight say, "I'm not left-handed." That'd be a great reference.
Yeah.
Could have done it in Christmas Invasion.
Yeah, could have.
Yeah. Oh, if I had to choose between that and the Arthur Dent reference, I'd have the Arthur Dent reference.
Absolutely.
And it's a great story for Mary Tam, I think, who gets to play a double role. Although there's a bit of the kind of being the hapless victim, but she's still got such a dignity in the character.
And it's a beautiful costume she's wearing.
Yeah, it's lovely. And yeah, Tom Baker having great fun, I think. There's a lovely scene with the trap in the kind of pagoda. It's slightly clumsy timing with the kind of death robot duplicate of Mary Tam. It's bigged up as like a lethal killing machine, and then it bumbles around for a few minutes.
I think because it's based on one of those real sort of Sunday evening classics, Count of Monte Cristo, or that sort of thing. There's a real sort of excitement to it.
And a bit tongue in cheek as well.
Yeah, a bit of a tongue in cheek sci-fi slant.
But you end up with canine floating away in the boat. I love as an ending. It's great fun. There's quite a journey for I forget the character's name, who's the kind of the young swordsman who's just already killed the Doctor at first, and then he sort of gets won over. And it's a sort of fairly shallow character arc, but he does have this journey of kind of being very eager and at the Doctor's side.
He's basically D'Artagnan. They've made a film version of Dogtagnan and the Muskehounds.
What?
Yeah. And it's CG though. It's done, and I watched a little bit of it and I was like, but they've got a flashback to Count Richelieu, and it's the original animation.
Oh,
and
that's funny.
see, when you see it, it's like the original animation is so much
good.
better.
Yeah.
And it's such a shame because I have such fond memories of that when I was a kid. And I know it's got absolutely nothing to do with Doctor Who, but from the moment I found out about it, I've been singing one for all, one for.
Maybe we should put that in our box of delights.
Anyway, sorry.
No, that's about all I've got to say about Android's Tara, unless you got anything else. But
No,
the Tara and Woodbeast Appreciation Society was formed on this day.
Yep.
You were here for this historic moment.
We
and it was wrapped up
are
on
the
the same day.
Taran Beast Appreciation Society.
Oh dear. And it's actually, I also remember having this thought of like, I've always sort of said it as Taran Woodbeast.
Yeah.
But it's the Taran Woods, and it's the beast in the Taran Woods. It's not a beast made of wood.
Yeah, I know.
In my box are such delights.
Okay, it is time for Box of Delights, our
Yay.
new section where we have basically just put all of the TV shows we'd quite like to watch and talk about into a box, and we're just taking
And have
one out,
delight
one at a
in
time.
watching.
Indeed. There we go. So we selected for our inaugural episode the Omega Factor, which Chaz had seen before and I hadn't. So it's from late 70s, 78, 79.
Yeah, a bit something.
One series only, but 10 episodes, which we diligently watched through. It stars James Hazeldine, and not Gareth Thomas, as I thought from the first look at the DVD cover. He certainly bears a resemblance to him. And we did, as we watched, we made...
As do many other people.
Yeah, like almost all the male guest stars seem to have the same curly hair. And Louise Jameson is the other lead.
Yeah.
So obviously a big draw for Doctor Who fans there. And, well, what did you want to say about it, Chaz? Do you have anything screaming out at you?
Red pants.
Yes, they were kind of quite prominent, as were the contents.
Sorry, we will get to the red pants.
I hope we
No,
don't.
I mean, it's set in Edinburgh. It's a sort of supernatural mind powers. Basically, Department, is it 7?
I can't remember.
I think it's Department 7. It's like a covert government department where they recruit psychics and people with preternatural type powers. The idea is to develop it as a weapon, for like super soldiers
X-Files
and
without
things
Scully,
like that.
basically.
Yeah, every week there's a different type of supernatural thing going on.
It lurches around a bit genre-wise, I think, between the sort of supernatural investigations, and then towards the end it's sort of getting more into kind of spy fiction or sort of fantasy spy fiction, because Department 7 it confused me because they sort of come across at first as shadowy government department, and then later on there's talk about being attached to a university. So I'm not sure if what the funding.
I don't think there's a lot of massive consistency in it.
But
they kind of don't know what they want to do. But like you say, I think maybe in the last 2 or 3 episodes, things are starting to. They've obviously kind of have got an idea where they want to take the story.
One of the things we talked about was feeling like it was heading towards a season 2 that might have been a bit more solid. And it never happened. But no, I think we don't want to get bogged down in describing all the various plots. It's worth watching. It's enjoyable.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Although it's messy and lumpy and a bit inconsistent. So the character of Drexel is the kind of main antagonist for most of the series. He's not really present. He crops up only in 2 episodes in the end, I think. And but his sort of sinister young assistant, Morag, appears kind of in Did We See or Did We Didn't?
In her woolen dress.
In this weird woolen nightie, and which apparently the actor was not at all fond of. We did watch the short behind the scenes documentary, although I nearly gave up in disgust when they led in with all the spooky things that happened on set, which is just sort
What
of...
you mean, like light bulbs needing replaced?
Oh, I know. I mean, imagine what were the odds on a show about the supernatural as well. But needless to say, Louise Jameson's wonderful, although I think a bit underused. and it's just quite often sort of just second fiddle to the main character.
There's an episode where they sort of she's been invited to go to
Paris or wherever.
Paris,
yeah, the Mission Impossible episode, I think. It is.
And it reminded me very much of a TV show called Shadows of Fear, where a psychologist had been invited to this place to observe the work of another psychologist, and he ends up committing her to his hospital, although she's the only patient there. And it's a similar situation. It's actually incredibly similar. I'm kind of wondering, I'll need to look out and see who wrote that episode.
It's sort of a trope, the kind of...
Yeah, I know it's been done.
We're not really the place you think you're at, and we're fooling you with newspapers from the right place. So The Prisoner did it, of course.
Yeah.
And just at that point, I think that Anne, Louise Jameson's character, started to kind of erode a little bit, because the kind of thinness of the kind of duplicitous setup meant that you're kind of going, oh, come on, Anne, you should be seeing through this a mile off.
Yeah.
But it's still good fun, and they seem to sort of have a different sort of psychic power, or kind of there was a seance-y episode as well. That was quite spooky.
It's entertaining.
Yeah.
As I say, it may not hold together as well as you would want, and the editing is...
Oh, that's weird, yeah.
Sometimes you have absolutely no clue where you are.
Yeah,
you know?
It's almost as abrupt as some of the edits I do for this podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think the Red Pants that we've been alluding to, we were just kind of slightly struck by, towards the end of the series, the lead character tended to spend a lot more time in his underwear.
He started shirtless for a couple of episodes, and then he was stripping off.
Once we'd been inured to that, it was right down to the very 70s pants.
Oh, and it was just so bizarre because
it wasn't even the point of the scene.
Yeah. And then his brother was in his pants as well.
Yeah, they're just like getting up in the morning, so they're in their pants.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. But there was a hell of a lot of lingering cross shots. It was almost as bad as the Tomorrow People gets.
Oh,
but I always blame Roger Damon Price for that.
It was strange that we lost Drexel from the plot.
Yeah, that was bizarre. They did say, "Are you sure he's dead?"
Yeah.
At one point, and I get the feeling that the possibility he might have reappeared in season 2. There is, I think it's 3 or possibly 4 CDs from Big Finish of Omega Factor. Now, I'm not sure exactly what happens. All I do know is that Louise Jameson is in it, and there is a man who plays, I think it's John Dorney, who plays Hazel Dean's...
Right, yeah, because Hazel Dean's died quite young.
Yeah, he died a few years back, so I think he plays his son or something in it. So there is them, and if I can get hold of them at some point, it'd actually be very interesting to listen to them.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was great fun, and it was really nice to watch something different, you know, sort of, and something that we wouldn't have chosen.
No, for sure. With that in mind, let's choose a new one. I'm going to need a wibbly wobbly sound effect for this anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, so...
Here we go!
Our box of delights is in fact the TARDIS money box.
TARDIS money box of delights. Unfortunately, no money, but it is Mr. Ben.
Brilliant. Well, that's going to be quite a change of tone.
Wow. So, with
exciting.
the dulcet tones of Ray Brooks.
So, yeah, Mr. Ben beckons.
What's happening? You're becoming one of us. Who's us? The Tomorrow People. The Tomorrow People.
It's tangent time. We are going to talk about Tomorrow People, which has been parked in hyperspace for a few episodes. But some time ago, so I've forgotten all of what I thought at the time, we finished watching The Vanished Earth. And, well, what has stayed with me, that's going to be instructive. I'll tell you, the sort of villain in a kind of weird cage covered in unconvincing cobwebs and what looks for all the world like either a sort of albino pope or the kind of KKK.
I think we're going KKK on this one.
Yeah. It's the sort of ecclesiastical shape of the hood, really, doesn't it? It's,
well, I mean, I suppose you could say it's possibly more Inquisition than
Yeah.
KKK, but, you know, I mean,
So
it's
what is it?
KKK.
It's Spydron.
Yeah.
Spydron.
Yeah.
So there's the spider thing is alluded to with the cobwebby kind of set dressing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But other than that, he doesn't have like 8 legs or anything.
No, it's John Woodvine that does the voice. He played Broton and the Duke in
Terror of the Zygons.
Yeah, and he was also in Keeper of Traken and Porterhouse Blue, if I remember.
I'll tell you who is in it. Tobias Vaughan.
Yeah, that's right. And he plays a tomorrow person from the Trig.
The Trig.
The Galactic Trig. Weren't you paying attention?
Well, I really wasn't paying attention.
Oh,
but
right.
No, it's like the Galactic Maths class.
Yeah, well, basically it's like Earth hasn't quite joined. It's like a United Nations
So
thing.
it's sort of the Tomorrow People version of the Federation.
European Union.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
But he pops up as a kind of enigmatic figure in the first episode or so. And saves Stephen, is it, from drowning?
That's right. Yeah.
And then you sort of go, okay, so he's not necessarily a baddie, but then he sort of does a kind of baddie sort of gloat.
Yeah.
And I think I'm totally prejudiced by him having played 2 villains in Doctor Who.
Yeah, well, I mean, they always play on this when somebody new enters the fray. Is it a goodie or a baddie, as it were?
Yeah.
Again, apart from saying Nicholas Hammond, and obviously the guest stars, the standout performance again comes from Ginge.
Yeah, he's got quite a lot to do this one. There's a sort of sinister funfair.
Yeah.
Or not the funfair itself, but one booth in it. So it's sort of populated by a sort of fairly scruffy looking guy.
Oh, God.
Who's just an ordinary human in the end. But then there's this kind of space lady.
Yeah.
Who has a series of utterly awful costumes.
They've dressed her terribly, a bit like when we spoke about Kinvig and Thing's costume. She herself was actually quite good.
I did the best with what she had, which was a lot of dodgy back and forth arguments with Spidron. And, you want some antagonism within your antagonists, but that's all they do. It was like Colin Baker and Nicola Brown.
But let's be honest, out of all the ones we've seen so far, this is definitely the best one.
Well, it's not saying much, frankly.
No, I know. But of course, the crowning achievement of these episodes so far, especially this one, because I think this takes it to the limit, the treatment of Kenny.
I mean, he barely gets anything, doesn't he?
Well, it's not just that. It's like, oh, John, I think
Your
John.
chimney sweep's back.
Yeah, he is.
Back.
Just come over. No, Kenny, you stay here.
Stay here and correlate the in the stars.
Yeah, you give Tim an oil change.
And the scene that was cut was Tim going, "You lay one finger on."
It's like every fucking time he mentions even stepping out. No, there's even a bit where he's going to have a line, and John stands in front of him and delivers the fucking line.
Wow. Do you think they all kind of knew he was like...
I think that's his last one, actually.
Right,
anyway, I mean, he got sacked because he was thieving from the cloakroom or whatever.
But do they dodo him then, or does he get an exit?
Doesn't get an exit. He goes off to the Trig.
Oh, I see.
And you're never going to listen to the audios, are you?
I very much doubt it.
Right.
I think life is actually
I'm going
too
to
short.
spoil an audio for you.
Do they bring Kenny back?
The second Tomorrow People audio is called The Deadliest Species, right? And
is it humans?
The very first 10 seconds of it is, they're running from a battle or something, they're trying to get through a gate, and she's talking away, and you just hear she's saying to this guy, we need to get it out, we need to get in the code, blah blah blah, and he puts the code in that says code accepted, hello Kenny, like that, and then an explosion.
Oh my god,
within the first 10 seconds he doesn't even get to say anything. I fucking laughed for 10 minutes straight.
Oh, jeez.
Couldn't believe it. Especially after having listened to the audio commentaries, which you've got to listen to.
Well, I mean, if I get Stockholm Syndrome sufficiently enough, then I'll definitely listen to maybe one or two choice
seriously,
commentaries.
I mean, fucking hell. Anyway.
Well, I don't have much more to really say about it, except if that's the best one so far, then yay.
Well, All I'm going to say is the next one is the blue and the green. And
Okay.
I'm
a proper good one, isn't
pretty sure you'll like that one.
I mean, I know checks are gone from the world, but that is a check you cannot cash. I suspect. We will see.
Could it have been affected by tangential deviation coming out of the warp ellipse?
What are you talking about, Grease Stain?
Lovely. Well, our other tangent is, of course, Red Dwarf.
Yay!
Now, we watched Red Dwarf season 11, the second Dave season, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we had great fun, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
So I've got the list of episodes. I'll just rattle through the titles, and let's do that pick a favourite thing, and then we can touch on the rest as we go. So they were Twentica, which is the sort of alternative 20th century Earth with technology stuck in the 1920s, which is where I think the title comes from. Samsara was the one with the karma drive, where the couple who are having an affair on this spaceship get punished by this karma drive. That's quite a funny one. And Give and Take was the one with the mad medical droid who takes Lister's kidneys. Officer Rimmer, that's one with my favourite visual gag with the 3D printed captain. And then the Rimmer prints off a whole bunch of Rimmers. And of course, as we know from the past of the programme, multiple Rimmers always goes swimmingly well. Crisis, which with a K, which is Crichton's midlife crisis. And lastly, Can of Worms, which is, it's a polymorph story again, isn't it?
Run out of ideas.
Yeah. But, hey, well, the cat gets to have a night of amazement and love. Got a favourite out of those?
I'd say Give and Take.
So, what sticks out there?
I just love, I love the droid.
Snacky.
It's
a great sitcom, Mistaken Identity.
It's such a ridiculous gag as well, because you obviously know the payoff. And again, it's like the best sort of gags of that ilk, where you absolutely know the payoff, but the fact that you're waiting for it and ahead of it makes it funnier and funnier.
It's a sort of double joke, because they big up this amazing medical droid, and then you see this kind of really clunky kind
he
of
looks
looking,
like Metal Mickey.
Well, he looks like a snack machine.
Yes.
And they're like, okay, appearances can be deceptive and all of that. You must be Asclepius. And then off he goes, and written on his back, Snacky, snack food dispenser. So they get the kind of cake and eat it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's just great fun. And of course, Snacky then ends up being more than the sum of his parts anyway.
Yeah,
Rimmer having the therapy session with
It's just a lot of gags.
It's just great, you know. It's Red Dwarf doing what Red Dwarf does best, and that's just taking the comedy and running with it.
Yeah, and again for this season, there's a lot of kind of high concept sci-fi ideas with the comedy twists. So they've done. I mean, you're right in that there's a certain sense of drawing from the past, because the karma drive explicitly gets referenced back to justice, where the wrong you do is visited back upon you.
That's another one I really like. This and the last season have been a real sort of return to form.
Yeah, for sure. But, I mean, it's a rich enough concept, the Justice Field, that it warrants a kind of sequel. The Karma Field's a twist on that, in that it's kind of... Again, they managed to touch on some actually interesting kind of philosophical issues in terms of, you know, the morality of a company or whoever's running the spaceship, dictating the morality by
company, what the hell business is it the company, whether you're having an affair or not? Or...
Yeah, I mean, I think you can see both sides as well, because there's that whole long-term deep space journey thing, and I know there's some sort of harder sci-fi out there that deals with the fact that you look at missions to Mars and the need for kind of teams who can not want to murder each other after 6 weeks in a spaceship together and all that sort of stuff. So again, there's kind of good hard sci-fi roots at the core of a lot of those ideas, but they don't get bogged down in too much of that. It's just, you know, it's got some depth without sacrificing comedy, which I think that's what our conclusion really.
We've always said that. I think, you know, that Red Dwarf really works better when it's 20% sci-fi, 8% comedy,
and 30% maths. No, I think my favourite is probably between Samsara, that one with the Karma Drive, or Officer Rimmer is just another kind of another fresh take on Rimmer's multiplied awfulness.
I also like the idea of 3D printing your crew, because I suppose, you know, by that point, that's not an impossibility.
It's very clever.
It's a sort of, you know, I sort of a riff on cloning.
Well, you've got the technology to sort of download people's personalities into holograms.
Yeah.
Why they don't just generate holograms, I don't know, but let's move on. But then, of course, the comedy twist is that it's the same printer technology of the current day, and there's a paper jam. So the captain comes out with his eyes on top of his head and the smeared face in the middle. All the multiple rimmers are actually kind of getting on splendidly before there's another paper jam and you get the big rimmer monster. So what to say about the other ones? The sort of polymorph sequel without the kind of actual polymorph, it's quite funny, but they get the cat... They get the cat pregnant with polymorph eggs, which is at least this scene with the cat kind of in the birthing pool and then pulling out all sorts of mad household objects, which is quite fun.
It was good. It was good laugh, and like I say, the cat. It was actually quite a good episode for the cat.
Yeah.
And the payoff at the end was rather fun.
The 9-way Mexican standoff kind of thing is quite exciting as well. But trying to jump back to the beginning, I think has a bit of Kevin Eldon, who's always good value.
Yeah.
As 4 of 97 or whatever he's called. It's obviously riffing on the Star Trek naming.
It sort of reminded me a little bit of Back to Reality. So it was all sort of steamy drain pipes, and it was that sort of film noir thing going on, and they had this again.
They get to do the 20s.
Yeah, I kind of liked the whole science speakeasy thing.
Yeah, it was a good gag. It sort of stretched right to its breaking point, I think. And Harmony de Gautier was good fun. I think she was a very strong performer.
And also, do you want me? I'll explain pie to you. It's like doing. Yeah,
that's what I mean about stretching the gags to breaking point. So all the kind of seedy things you might do in a speakeasy mapped onto science. I think my favourite moment in that one is when they flip over all the tables and all the science stuff and the beakers were replaced with alcohol. Like a bar.
No, it was good fun. I think the whole season actually works quite well. I wouldn't say there's any real duffers in the season.
No. There's still an element of that, lots of set pieces sometimes. But it's more cohesive.
As I say, they are kind of dipping into the past a bit, but I mean, they were going 12 bloody series, so of course they're going to start dipping into the past. But the enjoyable thing for me was I had seen a couple of episodes, but I'd say there was at least 4 I hadn't seen. So that was joyful in itself. And I know for a fact that I have not seen any episodes of the next
12,
season. So I'm really looking forward to watching that.
Well, I'd noticed there was like a 4-year gap between seasons 10 and 11. And I'd mentioned last time my nervousness that they were setting it up to finish. So I think, but 11 and 12 were commissioned together.
Ah, right.
So they were filmed very close together, I think. So we'll go on to watch season 12, and I think we'll tie in the Promised Land as well. Yeah. And then, until they bring out some more, or unless we want to watch the AA advert, we'll have completed Red Dwarf.
Wow.
I know. What journey. Oh, well, one more step to go.
So what was it like, this monster?
I don't know.
It is time for Monster by Monster, where we will pick a few monsters at random and then say things about them. Random number generator time. We'll see what number we get. 6. That's going to be very early in the programme's history.
It's probably a Vord.
It's close. It's Menoptera.
Oh, the Zarbi and the Menoptera. Big. They were the caterpillars, weren't they?
Those are butterfly people.
Yeah.
Or moths.
Moths.
So kind of stripy furry costumes, flying scenes.
I mean, I can't say that I like that story. I find it dull, but I do remember a lot of people, they were talking about it because it was like a massively innovative story.
Big experiment.
I'd heard casting people talking about it over the years and stuff, and when you watch it, it's trippy as fuck. I mean, it really is. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
Also, Rosalind de Winter trying to invent this kind of insect body language and performance.
But kudos to them on what they attempted. Absolutely. I don't think it necessarily worked as well as it maybe they'd hoped, but I mean, they look good.
Fair play. Let's pick another one. 174. That is the Gangers. So, Flesh.
Oh, I love that. I love that episode.
We did talk about it quite a lot.
Yeah,
previous episodes.
I did love that episode, but yeah, the gangers, that's such a great moral quandary in itself.
It's a brilliant realisation of the monsters with the kind of melty faces, and it's a triumphant mixture of CG and I think probably prosthetic work.
Yeah, absolutely. But you also, because you've obviously got that big moral quandary about them, but it's set up beautifully with Amy because, obviously
the Doctor fools her.
And for a good reason as well. But
could be the one where everyone became Odo.
Yes.
A great monster that wasn't a monster, of course. Yeah. That's the whole point, really. All right, couple more. 45. It's your favourite. Sea Devils.
Oh, lovely. I love the Sea Devils.
Yeah, and also they've been a returning monster.
And it's that's a great story. That's actually, I'd say, one of the best Master stories because for a lot of that, you've got the Master and the Doctor being actually nice to each other.
Which is exactly what you said last week.
Is it?
Yeah, we literally talked about that in those terms.
Shit.
Don't worry. But let's talk about the monster.
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting carried away.
I know.
Yeah, no,
I know, I love you for it.
Yeah, no, the monster, I really like. I like the voice.
Yeah,
they get a great voice, and I love this because I don't think we've ever had two monsters related.
Aye,
at that point, anyway. I know the Ood and the Sensorites technically,
but that's more a throwaway fan wank thing.
But these were specifically, like the sea version of the Eocene Silurians, and of course in Warriors of the Deep, you get the two of them sort of joining forces.
Yeah,
and I really do like them. I think they're great, and it is a very iconic scene of them coming out of the water, in Pertwee, even with their string vests on. But it's incredibly iconic, and it's one of those very exciting stories, and it's also a story where you don't actually have unit. You've got the Royal Navy and the Doctor sort of doing their thing, as it were.
Yeah, I'd be quite a while before I saw it. I think it was only, relatively recently. I must have read the book and I'd seen all the imagery. I remember I'd heard the music. It was very strongly in my head because it's on one of the compilation cassettes. But also the other thing that fascinated me about the Sea Devils was their kind of circular shaped guns. And I remember I'd sort of crafted, I think I had like a little tiny mini frisbee disc about the right size, and I'd sort of crafted a sea devil
all you
gun.
basically need is a sort of a little margarine tub and a candle bulb. That's it.
Yeah. Right, last one. Number 9, back to the beginning. It's the Morlocks.
The Morlocks?
Morlocks. So the Morlocks are the people who run the Space Museum. They're
what you mean, the humans?
Monsters, but this list does alien races as well.
Yeah, bureaucrats.
Yes, space bureaucrats. Fighting the space teenagers.
Yeah, not what you can say. I mean, the space teenagers had obviously gone out of control because they'd been lost at the space rock and roll.
I think their leader was called Lobos, and of course he went on to have that big hit with La Bamba. That's about all I can think of to say about the poor Moroccan.
Bill Hartnell got to sit inside the Dalek.
There you go. So it's worth it for that alone.
Yeah.
It's the end. But the moment has been prepared for.
9 times out of 10.
Thanks for listening. If you'd like to get in touch, or if you've recently returned to an old job, we can be contacted by email at randomizerpodcast@gmail.com. You can leave us a voice message at anchor.fm/randomizer, or follow us on Twitter at randomizerpod, and in all cases...
That's randomizer with an S, not a Z.
I have this feeling we've forgotten something. Russell T. Davies is coming back. We're very, very thrilled about the return of Russell T. Davies to run Doctor Who for the anniversary year and at least one beyond, we think. It's completely unexpected news. I mean, and so much so that us and a lot of other people immediately, of course, were like, "This is a spoof. This is."
I genuinely thought that.
Many people
because a couple of days before, someone had mocked up a thing about the 14th Doctor, and it was the sort of screenshot from the official Twitter page and blah blah blah, and Joe Martin and all this sort of stuff, and you know, I was like, you know, sort of saw the thing. Oh yeah, very good.
It's nice that we got a bit of skepticism.
Blah, blah, blah. So when Connor sent me that, and I was like, I'm looking at it and going, the wind up, surely.
Yeah, can't be real.
He's
Too
like,
good.
he said, no. I said, nah. So I went, you know,
And then you had to check you were awake.
Yeah, I'd done a deep dive again, and sort of, you know, it sort of went through the dark web and consulted the wizards of the internet, and you know, sort of got Stephen Hawking on the seance to bless the internet, and yeah, it was like, oh, fuck,
yeah,
and I didn't actually genuinely know what else to say except fuck.
Yeah.
And then I sent you and a few others, and all I got was fuck.
Yes. And I think very quickly the sort of official glib summary of it settled down into being either the Second Coming or the one I love is
RTD2.
Yes.
He came up with that one himself, apparently. Yeah, he's rebranding himself. He's branding his own fucking comeback.
He'll never get into the costume. Yeah.
Yeah. He's come back as a Slovene.
And of course then there were jokes about, well, then it's Moffat's turn again.
But does that mean it's Chibnall's?
Well,
see, this is where we go backwards now, because I've been nice about Chibnall,
You've
so
got that out of your system.
I can actually be shitty about him again.
It's actually quite difficult now to sort of not be thinking about that all the time in relation to watching the new episodes that are still to come.
Well, it's funny, right? I mean, look, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to enjoy it, but as Connor said, and I sort of feel the same, that it really sort of doesn't matter now.
Well, it's that big sigh of relief that the show is safe. And
it's safe. It's not. If it's crap and blah blah blah, it doesn't matter as much. I know it's a sad thing to say going in, because one, this announcement overshadows everything. Even the knowledge, and it still overshadows it. Hence why I don't think that was due to be announced. I think somebody had got hold of it and they were going to leak it.
But that seems to happen all the time in
and I
Wales
think that's why they had to announce it, because
it was bad timing for the new season.
Yeah, I mean, the BBC is all about timing in that sense. There's no fucking way they were going to, you know, overshadow.
The first domino could have been Chibnall and Jodie leaving, of course.
Exactly.
Because then the questions screaming in everybody's mind about who's next.
Admittedly, but I think, like, you don't. I mean, most of the time, showrunner isn't that big a deal who you announce. It's a big deal for fans, but it's not. This one supersedes it, I'd say, because a lot of people that aren't, say, necessarily big Who fans are excited.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that Graham Norton is very thingy about, you know, the RTD era, and he knows, so he was quite sort of, he was even thinking about it and stuff. So this is why I think
he'll be back as the master.
Yeah, go. Oh no, he'll be back in the first episode as a voiceover.
Oh God, not again!
They've got to get him back.
Oh jeez.
But
maybe there was like the ultimate long Stephen Moffat game. It's like this is actually Norton's the enemy at the end of
do you know when they done the watch alongs? They were saying they had to get Graham Norton involved.
Sweet.
Brilliant.
Oh, for the Rose one.
Yeah. But yeah, I really, really think that somebody had got hold of it and was going to spoil it, you know. And
Writer's Tale Volume 3, hopefully. We'll find out.
Yeah, because really and truly, that's very bad PR in that sense. If you release news like that, I mean, that's massive fucking news. That's, I mean, because everywhere you look on YouTube, the internet, it's all that they're talking about. And it's getting more traffic than the news about the new series.
It did die down, and then the
a
new series comes
little
along,
bit, but
I think there's never a perfect time, is there?
No, of course not.
But I think let's look at it in terms of some of the fears. Was that, well, could it be a step backwards? And I think it's the thing that reassures me most is that RTD hasn't like rested on his laurels at all. He's you know, we've had It's a Sin, we've had years and years. You know, he's gone on to strength after strength.
Yeah,
and
Cucumber and Banana.
Yeah, it's just
and
somebody's called him, you know, just the best writer in Britain.
Oh well, I mean, I've said this before, and I'll stand by it. I think he's the natural successor to Dennis Potter. I really do. I think he's of that calibre. The stuff he's done is he's followed the same path as Dennis Potter, because his writing was mainly television as well, because I mean that was Potter's big love, was TV, and the same way RTD, and they've explored interesting and similar themes.
So it's not just RTD who's involved. We're getting Julie Gardner and Jane Trance are involved in the form of Bad Wolf Productions. There's then these sort of slightly concerning rumours of Sony buying Bad Wolf, but at the same time, Bad Wolf have proven track record of making His Dark Materials, which is looks amazing. I've seen most of it, not all of it yet, but they hope they finish the third season before they get stuff into Doctor Who.
Well, you may even get your dream come true of McAvoy.
Oh,
well, he is involved in
I think I would have liked McAvoy back when it was Matt Smith leaving.
Yeah.
I think the world's moved on now. I think we need another female Doctor.
I think you're probably right. I'm sort of. I know it's becoming a bit of a cliche now, but Tiana Miller is.
Now remind me who that is.
She played the General in Heaven Sent. The regenerated General, and she was in Years and Years.
Mm-hmm. So the other name in the hat was Lydia West, who was in Assassin and Years as well.
Yeah, she's very good.
Yeah, I mean, again, I know they'll do a good job. I know they've got good taste. It'll be great. Exciting times ahead, and the show's in safe hands for a few years to come.
Oh, yeah. Ask ye not for whom the bell tolls.
It is time for Running Through Corridors. No, it's not. That's the book.
Oh, I'll keep that one. That is Randomizer with an S, not a Z. And I notice you've taken that away from me now.
You've still got some of it left.
No, you basically did.
Yeah,
I had one job.
You've still got enough left to turn up and collect the money.
One job, and you've taken that away from me now.
If you keep getting it wrong, eventually we'll go down to the only thing you will say in the whole podcast is Z.
Not a Z.
We'll go sort of S, not a Z, not a Z, a Z.
So, do you think we got away with it?
I think so.
Yeah.